right, Coffee with Gaz here with the William Corbera, William Corbera. Whichever, it's funny because we've known each other since middle school, high school, and now we reconnected on our adult life. So you want to go by, what's the preferred title? Mr. Corbera? Are we going that formal?
Since we're old school friends, Willie or Will or Iron Will.
Iron Will. We gotta get to that. Iron Will. I mean, I know you're a hard worker, but I like that. No, but it's cool, man. Thanks for doing this. Full transparency, Will, we've been friends. We connected. You're a client. Someone I've always respected, and just talk shop, right? What I want to kind of get into is the entrepreneurship. And I hope I said it right because we've had some debate on entre. But you being an entrepreneur, that is exactly, whenever I hear this title, and I think it's honestly a little bit of white noise now. People always throw that around. If they do anything, an idea, you're an entrepreneur. But you are, in my opinion, the definition of what it exudes from what you did, where you are, where you're going. So I kind of want to talk about that and kind of let's take a step back, man. Like, what are you up to these days right now?
Well, thank you first off for that intro. I'm humbled by it, but today I'm doing a host of different things. I'm investing in real estate quite a bit. I've got a big payments background, so I'm keeping different options open there and seeing what I develop or look at. But I've got a couple other investments that I've done in sort of real estate development, but also a project that I've done called HBW with a WeWork for salon suites.
That's right.
Right. And I've just have a newborn baby, so I'm spending most of my time.
So you're not sleeping
with her. Not sleeping too much, but Carolina, my wife, does a great job. So I'm doing a little bit of everything.
Now, what I want to talk about too is when we talk about being an entrepreneur is, so when you started, you built a business from scratch.
Yes,
right.
My brother and I.
Family business. You and your brother built it, bootstrapped, sold it, and now it's just taken to another I guess avenue in your life. But talk to me a bit about, Will, like in your opinion, because you've done it and you are, in my opinion, the epitome of what it is to start something from the ground up. Give me your opinion. How do you envision? How do you describe an entrepreneur?
It's a great question. I think it's somebody that gets an opportunity or sees an opportunity and they try to execute and build a business around that opportunity, right? So that could be somebody that sees an opportunity in technology or sees an opportunity in insurance in your space, and how they can do better or iterate it in a very subtle way to get new customers and keep those customers, right? So that's how I see it.
I mean, do you think it's more of if you were to focus on something, is it more of like being able to be opportunistic or be more of an innovator? Because I think sometimes it gets kind of like, the lines are different, right? An entrepreneur is someone I think maybe looks at an opportunity and attacks it. Then you have the innovators on the other side that actually create from scratch or the idea. What do you think comes first or what is more important?
Tough question. I think you.
I only ask tough questions.
I think you need both. I think you need both because I think most things are iterations of something from the past. So you can't really innovate on insurance if you don't have the foundations of insurance. You can't innovate in payments if you don't have the previous items in that or the legacy business that exists.
Right.
And so I think that's where the entrepreneur comes in. They see how something is being done today, how it could be done better, and that's the part of the innovation that the entrepreneur takes advantage of. And if they execute well, then they build something really nice with their team.
It's funny, us here starting this insurance agency and developing it over time and kind of going on. I'm always in this, and I don't know who said it, but it's always like I've always looked at it, to build a successful business, you got to look at two things, right? You got to exploit what you're good at. How you gonna basically how do you make money, right? How do you kind of pay the bills? But then also being self-aware to also explore new ideas. It's almost like that balance, right? You got to explore, and I think sometimes companies either get into the exploitation so much that things change and they basically fall flat, right? Things evolve past them, or you spend so much time exploring stuff that you never really make any money, right? So go kind of like your background, and if you want to talk about it, like how did you get that mindset? Would you want to do your own thing?
So to touch on just that comment real quick, most of my life, most people have said, "Hey, Willie, you're a big dreamer," right? And so I think there's an element personally of dreaming, but how do you materialize it and make it real is part of the essence of an entrepreneur. Definitely exploiting, whether it's your talents or exploiting an opportunity that you see out in the marketplace with your idea, right? So I think that's the mad science that's hard to necessarily quantify. But I do think entrepreneurship can be taught.
Really?
I think it could be taught. I think the mindset could be taught, and you could pass that along either through your family or to people that are wanting to be an entrepreneur.
It's not just having a work ethic, but it's a complete mindset. It's kind of not a status quo, somewhat of a rebellious type outlook at things. Like, do you question things you look at? Are you always questioning things of, I guess the answer is always like why, or the question's why?
Definitely.
Keeps you up at night?
Yeah, I would say that. I'd say trying to do things better. And that's kind of sort of how can I create. I think the constant thing that I'm reminding my kids is it's important to build something, right? And I also remind them that you plant a seed today so that you could build a big mighty oak. That's something that we constantly talk about. So I think there's a mix of planting that seed to build something, but at the same time using your dreams, using your thoughts of that artistic side to do something unique and special.
And talk about like just obviously the innovation and creation side. Like I don't know if it's something I looked at recently or just talking to certain people, but looking back, we talk about innovating or creating. I look at it like studying history more and figuring out kind of like what went wrong and who did what, because it kind of continues to repeat itself no matter what. We're moving so much faster now with technology and everything we're doing, where I think sometimes the answers are somewhat in front of us, right? Per se, like things that, and so many times we're worried about creating something from scratch, but I think there's so much opportunities to evolve and develop what's already there.
I think sometimes maybe people feel like they have to, they're forced to pick one or the other, right? They have to innovate or they just have to make something better. I think it's a mix. I think it's a mix of both, right? So that's what makes entrepreneurship interesting.
What gave you the confidence to kind of step out of your comfort zone and really be an entrepreneur? Because you went to school down here in South Florida, but you moved out on your own to the West Coast, California, to start your own business. So what gave you? Was that did you get the confidence? Was it confidence before or after? Because sometimes I'm always trying to figure out too, like was it the success, then you became confident, or was it confident, then you had success?
I've always been a very shy person, and I think necessity was my need and passion for wanting to get ahead and help my mom and my family outweighed my shyness. And so I think that's, for me, how I overcame me sort of being an introvert. Yet I credit my dad for sort of the entrepreneurial mindset, because I remember very vividly that he was very proud of always saying, "Hey, I've never worked for anybody in my life." You know, he started all different types of businesses and had his ups and downs. But I remember multiple times being in the car with him, and you could just sense his energy of and pride of, whether it's a taxi driver, whether it's selling electronics, whether he was a big farmer. he was always very proud of trying at the very least to build something, and that stuck with me, and it stuck with my brothers, and so that was kind of from the start. Since I was in high school, I had that thought process, and then the need came in when my dad couldn't provide for us anymore when we were young, and my mom had to then be the breadwinner.
Right.
And at that point, sort of, it became sort of a quest to help my mom and take the stress off of her, and try to do something with my life that was positive.
You mentioned the word introvert, right? Two types of people. Or you could be both, I think, right? Introvert, extrovert. But being, and I don't consider you an introvert, but obviously we know in high school maybe you consider the word shy. Like there's a lot of people that use that as, is that more of a label, a crutch, right? Like you're considered an introvert, but then but this is funny because you call yourself an introvert, but then I know so many quote unquote extroverts that don't even do half the stuff you do. Like they can talk the talk, but they don't actually knock on doors. They won't actually move across the country, right? Knock on doors to try to build their business. But so many people talking, man, but you're the guy that actually does, like you did it. Like you have the I don't want to use I'm not gonna use a bad word, but the courage, right? To go and start your own thing. You actually knock on doors. Most people don't have it to be able to walk out, either too shy or embarrassed or to cold call people. They don't have that drive. So it's funny that you brought that up because I think you're the complete opposite.
When I started off, I knocked on doors. I hit the bricks per se to try to get new business and knocking on doors. Our very first customer was a tire company out on Ventura Boulevard in Los Angeles. And definitely then down here in Miami, hitting Bird Road up and down.
Nice.
Trying to get business.
How many times did you get yelled at?
Many times.
You survived, no broken bones, you made it?
Many times. Would get home. I would wear a shirt and tie and come home with, dark ring over on my shirt, on my collar. But I think those are times that you reflect back on and you give thanks to the man upstairs for those trying times, because it makes you and it makes you appreciate what you have.
100%. We talked about it, like it's funny during lunch. Like if you're gonna be, obviously it's easy to fast forward. Everyone talks about like all the success stories, right? And then everybody writes a book, and it's like this. People kind of like lean on that, but if you're gonna be, grateful for the happy and grateful for the good, you gotta be grateful for the bad stuff too, the hard stuff, because that's what kind of got you to that point. And so many people skip that and they underestimate that instead of embracing it.
I think you have to love the struggle.
The process.
I think if you love the struggle and you get used to it, it makes you strong. It makes you kind of build this armor around you. And not that you want to struggle all your life, but if you're, like we have similar backgrounds with our stories with our moms, and just like we were talking earlier.
Yep.
The big armor that I think I've been able to sort of create is seeing how my mom built that armor as we were growing up, and did things that were superhuman to help us and to get us ahead. And I think it's hard for me to justify that I can't do hard things when she did extremely hard things.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I always say my mom worked too hard for me not to be great.
And I love that quote, and I've shared that one multiple times with my wife and with even my mom, because
and it's funny, like that term, it could be misconstrued different ways, but the truth is, like you see someone that's helped you, and now you're aware that how hard they worked, and you're in a better position now than they were. Like you have this more responsibility to try to do better, and it doesn't have to be materialistic, right? We're not talking about that. It's just more of putting yourself in a position to make your family succeed. The ultimate goal.
It's much sweeter to reflect on those trying times when you start off. And when, one of the quotes that as a family we talk about often is, I remember the days when I remember of the days when I used to dream of the life I have today.
Nice.
Which is a cool quote that we like.
It's perspective too.
It's perspective because I literally remember when I would dream of having a family, being able to do well, being able to take care of my mom, being able to help, and it's pretty